Hello, everybody. Apologies, we are 4 minutes late, but today my internet is
Linda.
at least I have a peaceful day. I'm without internet since 11 o'clock in the morning. So,
Oh dear.
so today to work, I had to go to a coffee shop. So, but anyway, good to have you all here. Apologies if I my internet's down. I will leave, but Elsa and Silvia will be here with you guys. So, thank you for being here with us today. Our topic today is do not judge so that you will not be judged. It's an important topic, very um, concerning point for everyone, but it's a good wake up call we have to have every single day. So Charles is on the move. He cannot join us today, but Elsa is here with us. So good evening, Elsa. How are you, my dear?
Hi, Steven. Hi, Silvia. Hi, my dear friends. Such a long time that the last time that I'm here with you all, but it's always a great pleasure because the most important thing that we can do is study these wonderful teachings in on spirituality that give to us the guidance how to promote ourselves towards heavens. Can say like that.
Good, good, good. Miss Gibbons, good evening, my dear.
Hello, good evening, Stevan. I'm glad you were able to, to get in. And good evening, Elsa. Send our thoughts to Charles. And good evening, everyone who's listening to us today. And today is a very special, as always, every week, we have very special subject to talk about. But this is very, very important because it affects all of us. We have to learn to look after ourselves first before we can judge anyone. So it's a very good subject to talk about, and hope everyone participates, ask questions, make comments, and it's lovely to be here with you all.
Good. Yes. And I like to start. We already said it here many times, but I like to emphasize there is a book called The Shack, and this is not a spiritist book, but it is a good book to read while a person has started to to question Jesus. And one of I will not give any spoiler here, but at certain point of the movie uh, falls exactly in this part because we human beings we like to act as a judge and we like to judge everyone's behavior, everyone's attitudes. But when they start to judge ourselves, we just say, oh, this is a rude person. I am not this one. So we do not accept to be judged. But first of all, um, let's work with the definition. Ms. Gibbons, let's open a conversation here. What is judge? What you understand by the word judge? What is judge the others? What's that meaning?
Well, judge, I mean, we think in terms, the first thing we think is in terms of the law, isn't it? It's you have someone who, to training into a long many years of study, comes to a position in which he will sit on the bench and will listen to all the everything that's said about the case, and he will judge it, see what is right and what is wrong. I think this is the first thing we think in terms of judgment. Also, there is a thing about judgment from ourselves. Um, how, as you said, sometimes we have a tendency to judge others, to give our opinion about other people and how they dress and how they speak and how they say. And I think one of the most basic things in the Gospels, in the teachings that Jesus left us, is that we should never, ever judge anyone, but we should look for ourselves first before saying anything about the other person. And it's interesting, like Jesus said, you see this speck in the eye of your neighbor, but you don't see the huge one in yours.
Yeah, yeah.
Tendency, isn't it? But if you think also in terms of psychology, usually the things that we dislike most on other people and we judge them because of those faults that they seem to have is the things we don't like in ourselves. So if we follow the simple thing that Jesus said, see first the speck that's in your eye, see why this you feel that you need to judge the person, and what gives you the authority to say something about other people. And we need to really look first on ours, and if something that annoys us, what is it about that behavior that I don't like? And I think many times we will be able to correct ourselves, to to look at that there's something that we do that we don't like. And also, I mean, it's very, very easy. We tend to transfer to other people all the problems that we have or the things we don't like. And then we criticize others when we should really making the judgment within our own terms, and find what is it about ourselves that is unpleasant, we don't quite like, and we can change and we can make a change. Because I think also, if you think in terms of Christianity and the teachings of Jesus, really, his words, rather than what sometimes people talk about, when they bring that woman that by all intents and purposes had been doing something bad, she was caught, as they said, in the text of the gospel, that she was caught in the act of adultery, and the law said that she should be stoned, and all the people came, full of a stone in their hands and ready to judge her. Well, she wasn't even judged, wasn't it? She was already being condemned. And they kept asking Jesus, what do you think? What do you think? And he didn't answer. And, I think the third time with you, but, what did you say, Abba? What did you say? And then he just looks up and he says, who among you have no sin, be the first one to throw the stone? And that's, everybody was quiet and they left. And I think that's exactly the point. If we look into ourselves first, we will not judge anyone. I think that lesson is so universal for everyone. When we're ready to throw stones at other people, it's to ask ourselves, is there anything I have that deserves to be stoned as well? I think that's the thing that many, many times probably would stop us from judging anyone. And I think basically that's it. Elsa may have other things to add, to say.
Yeah, Elsa.
I think all of us, sometimes we have difficulties really to put ourselves in other people's shoes. So we judge others without even thinking. Or you are envy for someone, you try to put these people down, and you make your fussy offenses, etc., and thinking that you are right. No, I'm doing that in order to save the world. No, you are judging wrongly. With the only way really to save the world, inverted commas, is to be a better person, to try to do our best, instead put all our eyes in other people's lives, ways to live, buy a car, maybe he stole something from the company to buy a car. We are raising concern and judgmental thoughts that is not adequate for us because instead of thinking, oh, it's very nice that my neighbor has a new car, he was waiting for that, or a promotion in his company, in his work. But instead of that, because we are envy inside us, without sometimes not acknowledge our envy thoughts, we are doing something wrong. When Jesus said to the woman, "No, where the ones that was saying things against judging you, they are not here; they are already gone." Okay, I'm not judging you as well. Go and don't do something wrong again. So Jesus always put someone up instead putting down and judgment and go to infer or go to hell in order to accomplish. No accusation, no judgmental for others. That is the way to be a good person that is in the gospel and in the Spirit's book. And Jesus brought to us this dialogue with the woman that was caught in adultery. But we judge the woman, but we don't think that the woman did something wrong on her own. There always someone besides this person, and both should be not be judged, but should be understood, and help them to go to the right pathway as Jesus taught us. And in Amelia Rodriguez' books that we have, but unfortunately, not all of them are in, I think one or two only in English. There is a passage that years later, this woman was working in Mansion of the Way, né? Mansão do Caminho, Casa do Caminho, and she saw a man that came in poor situation, health deteriorated, etc., and she was helping him, helping his fancy his hurts, his problems, etc. And she recognized the man that put her in that situation years behind, and she didn't judge him why he was in this situation. She helped him and he recognized her as well. So that was the way that to finish a chapter of our part of the chapter of our life with non-judgmental things and be kind and charitable according to Jesus' teachings.
Good. Thank you, my dears. Um, I like one phrase from Joana de Angelis. Joana de Angelis is the spiritual guide of Divaldo Franco, and one of her books, um, I think it's the name of the book is Jesus in the Modern Times or Jesus, something like this. She says, I will read it here. Silvia, please, if I'm saying something wrong, I put in Portuguese for you. So, in accusation and in the judgment of others' mistake, we often encounter ulterior motives and a vengeful pleasure in observing the weaknesses of others. Individuals who always deserve the mercy we ourselves hope to receive when faced with equivalent circumstances. In other words, we always like to not be judged when 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 we are the ones who are in the hot seat, let's say this. But when we are not in the hot seat, we love to throw the stones. And And these make us to think why we have this kind of behavior, why we act like this. Could be many reasons. Some people will say self-defense. Some people will say I'm just like to say it. So many reasons. And this 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 reminds me, as you know better than me, uh, when those guys gave that woman who did an adultery, and they asked Jesus, the law says we need to stone her, and they asked Jesus, what do you say? And he says, who do not have any sin, throw the first stone. And he starts to write in the sand some of their problems, selfishness, and so on and so forth.
If you think nowadays, Stevan, that we are spiritists. We have our spiritist groups. We have our federations, our unions. We are working for the best of each one. We are studying and we should put in practice what we are studying. Be kind, be charitable, understand, never judge, never judge, never judge. This is a word that I always use, never judge, because we never know when we are judging, the others are judging us as well. And we need the protection from the benefactors. If you are judging, doing mis thoughts towards others, who will help us, inspiring us if are going to the wrong way? And in our spiritual center, sometimes we have friends that is judging us or pointing things that is not there, and making a fuss in our meetings, etc. Instead, be in silence and observe more. Be in silence, be charitable, understand, and try to help, not to put salt in the wounded person and make it the worse, more pain. Instead, really help, put it down instead of put it up. And we are seeing this in the movement, we are seeing this in politicians, we are seeing this everywhere. So we are in the phase of trying to be the phase of a regeneration of our planet. But we are instead trials and attunements because our level of vibration is still as this a lot of woman that were about to stone the lady that was down, and Jesus calmly, with no words, showed them that they have sins. Because if you don't have sin, you can stone, as you said before. But they one by one put the stone down and go, and left. We should do the same. Before judging others, we should see if I sinned against my brother or sister, what I have done with my time, with my thoughts, with the opportunities that I have in my life, how I am using these wonderful tools that we have in our hands, that is the gospel, etc. And most of the time, if we think that we are the good one, we are not. We have our sins that we have to treat first, and after that, take care of our community in a better way that we can. Our family, our whatever we are.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. And my dear Silvia, um, we said it here many times, especially I think 2 or 3 weeks ago. We said that our our free will is limited according to our knowledge. So, for this reason, we can say today we judge a certain person for some kind of attitude, but in a in the future, when we acquire more knowledge, we will say, "Wow, I didn't have to have judged that person because she's right or she was just doing a silly mistake," and I make a huge noise about it. And for sure, this is what differentiate us from high spirits and ourselves, because at the end, we we are just projecting what we have inside of us. How this evolvement will help will happen, my dear?
Well, I think the more we learn about life, the way we more learn about um, how to deal with things. And I think one point that Elsa made, that we learn how to walk in other people's shoes. It makes us change. I think studying Spiritism, try to meditate in some of the lessons. It changes us because we learn to be a little more patient, a little more understanding. Because going back to that message that you read, what Joanna de Angelis says, sometimes we should judge others when instead of thinking about the situation that at one time, if we make a mistake or if we do anything wrong, we want people's sympathy, we want their understanding rather than their criticism. So why would I do the opposite of something that I want for myself? And I think this is important, because if we start saying, oh, if I had been in that situation, whatever thing happened to me that led me to that, I wouldn't want people being horrible and throwing stones at me, but I would want them to understand that I made a mistake, that I wasn't, whatever choice I made, even if I was aware of it. We want sympathy, we want understanding, and we don't want to be judged hard, badly, but we want to be given a second chance. And I suppose from the moment that we start thinking about that, we change, because we are not going to be so harsh in people, their behavior or anything, because we would think, oh, if I was in that situation, I would not like that, to be treated like that. So, and it think it's all part of the process of learning, or taking one thing at a time. We're not going to become enlightened overnight, but it's in those little things, it's the small things. Like Son David said, do the small things. And when we are able to do the small things, is that when we achieve great things, because we are able to see that. And I think, mostly at the moment we living in a kind of world that it's almost and I don't put myself, completely out of that, but no one seems to respect the way you think. You have to think the way they think, and if you don't, they accuse you of things. They throw, tantrums, and they say awful things. Whereas, I mean, if you think in terms of remembering what Voltaire, or something that is supposed that Voltaire said, that I may not agree with you, but I'll die fighting for your right to say it. And I think we have lost this kind of proposal, in society, how have to agree to disagree. And sometimes, when you, okay, fine, I think this way, you think that way. Eventually, I may see that the way you said something, the way you were thinking about a thing is the right way. And I say, oh, yes, I mean, he was right and I was wrong. So I accept it. And you can have this kind of exchange, and everybody's happy, everybody's learned something. We become less judgmental because you allow the other person to be who they are and to feel the way they feel or think the way they do. They are entitled to their thoughts, and I'm not entitled to interfere or accuse them of the way, because I don't agree with the way they think. And I think it's very radical, this thing, creates a lot of problems between people, sometimes even within the family themselves. You hear certain things, situations, especially lately, a lot of things being happening and people being so radical. One side is bad, is terrible. The other side is, they are saints, even though they committed the most horrendous crime in humanity. You can't get any lower than some of the things, but they are considered because they are, they have this thing about victims, and people like to be victims, and it's almost like became part of the human psyche that I'm a victim, even though I have the most privileged life in the world. But everybody has, oh no, poor her, she's a victim because, her color, her politics, whatever it is. And I think we are losing that connection with each other, which we need to bring back. I don't think like you do. I don't agree with what you're saying, but you are entitled to think the way you do. I accept it. And I think the way I think because that's how I am, or how I understand things, and you are in, to give me my allowance to be who I am. And we have to come to that exchange, because eventually, with a little distance, as I said, with a little distance, we are able to see the other person's point of view and even come to agree with them. Whereas if you say, no, I don't, we become enemies. We don't even talk to each other anymore. And there is being so much of it. So I think as we grow, as we progress, as we develop very spiritually, and honestly, I mean, it's such a blessing to have the teachings of Spiritism to guide us. It's a compass, is a north, and we really need to, because it teaches us so much to be understanding, to be kind, to be loving, to see every person as a brother and sister, to have tolerance. So it changes you. It becomes, you become a more tolerant kind of person, allowing other people to be who they are, and asking, and not being offended if they think you have to think the way they do. So growing spiritually, psychologically, as a human being, because that's, you talked about free will, and our free will goes as far as the free will of somebody else starts, isn't it? That's a measuring point there. So it's how I feel anyway, and I'm trying to learn it as well, not to fall into my own, in the traps that I see. As
Yeah, yeah, but when we talk about it, more comes to us to think about the forgiveness, because the only way we can um, we cannot judge it is when we put ourselves in someone's shoes and forgive. So there
What?
is no point. And the question is, are we ready to forgive? Are we ready to exercise this kindness? Um, if we go to the chapter 10, um, chapter 10 of the Gospel according to Spiritism, item 14, 1, 2, 3, the fourth paragraph. Spiritists never forget that the pardoning of wrongdoing must not be an empty expression, be this either by word or by action. Forgive all evil that has been done to you, and think of nothing save one thing, the good that you can do. So, the good you can do. Forgiveness, it is more for me than the other.
Sorry, it's important what I'm saying, Stephen, because the intelligent person forgives. Forgive is a freedom, freedom of thoughts, freedom of the evil thoughts from others. Forgiveness is a really a psychological way to live a better way, a better life. Because you don't carry with you in your shoulders heavy bits and pieces that you are throwing around you when you don't forgive. When we forgive, we are a happy person. In forgiveness, make uh, toxins out of our body. So our bloodstream, everything will run properly without these toxins that transform from our thoughts into material things against ourselves. So be intelligent, good, think about and change your way to see others, to see other people's problems, to see other people's behaviors, and silence yourself, say nothing sometimes, or if you have to say something, with encouragement for the one to see things in a different way, to help someone that always in me, I'm someone that suffer a lot. Why you are suffering? I can help you. Talk about. Instead, judge this person. Oh, this person does nothing for his life. He's always um, claiming about something and complaining, etc. We are here to serve. We are here to never judge. We are here to be charitable. We are here to be kind. We are here to help others, helping our families and our kids, our children, our young people. They are observing us. And the way that we are acting in our life, they can pick some things and act as well the same way. So it's a treasure to give to our children good things, good way to live, in a different way, really, that we should do. And forgiveness is one of the best, is really a freedom of thoughts, a freedom of bad things in our shoulders.
That's true, isn't it? Um,
Yes.
I think this is a very, very important point. Um, just a point in passing, this chapter 10 of the Gospel according to Spiritism is a quote, is Blessed are the merciful, which is a quote from one of the items in the Sermon on the Mount. And I think this it's very important, the merciful, because when we forgive others, we clear ourselves. I mean, sometimes um, People do things without even realize they're hurting you. So it's easier for us to forgive them. And also, I think at one point that Elsa made, because forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for ourselves. Because when sometimes, when something happens and we are unhappy with someone, said something unpleasant or attacked you, and it hurts, it hurts. But then if we are able to say, oh, I'm not going to take this on board, they are giving me a gift that I don't want to take. We don't have to accept the gift that these people give to me. I don't want to. And also, sometimes when we are upset with someone, we keep thinking about them and what they did, and that goes on and on in our mind, and we keep thinking about someone that is unpleasant, that doesn't like us, that doesn't even remember, did something and doesn't even remember we exist. And we keep thinking about that person all the time. And I remember once Givaldo saying, something that Joana de Anjos said to him, you keep thinking about someone who doesn't like you, and you are ignoring hundreds of people who like you. And I think that's it, because we keep connecting with someone that doesn't even remember that we exist. They hurt us because they don't care. And we keep thinking about them and forget the people who do like us. And so it's like carrying a luggage, isn't it? I think Elsa said something like that. It's like having a luggage, isn't it? You in a trip and you're still carrying your bag. You got into the train and you still have your knapsack and a bag here and another one here. And we don't need it. We don't need it. We need to let go of those things. Because if we've done something wrong, if we know that for whatever reason we upset someone, we can go and say, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I was in a bad day, whatever, but I'm asking for forgiveness, please. If the person forgives you, like Jesus said, you have a friend. And if they don't, it's their problem. You ask forgiveness in your heart and let go, let go, because don't think about forgive and forgetting is a little harder. We know, because sometimes we can forgive, but forget sometimes hard. But we don't need to have that, because I think, it creates not only, it creates hormones and everything that goes against our body. And if we get very stuck in vengeance and hatred, we become ill, physically ill. We have mental problems, your kidneys go off, your livers go off, because whatever part of your body is a bit more sensitive, they will start getting sick. All this negativity creates all these things that it's hurts your own body. So it's like, someone drinks a poison and you're the one who die for it. That's why it's important to forgive. It's for our own peace of mind. It's for a release. And it's, even if the person, they go, God bless them, let them get on with life, and we are free from them. We forget. I remember once reading this story of this lady in America who, she was in Auschwitz when she was a child, and she was a twin, and she was being one of the children who were being experimented by that doctor, which I'm not going to say his name. And they would, they want to see how the twins reacted, whatever. So they inject them with diseases and things. And she said she was very, very ill. But if the child died, they would kill the sister or the brother. They were doing those research with identical twins, and she was so desperate that she didn't want her sister to die, and she kept putting in her mind, I'm not going to die, I'm not going to die, I'm not going to die. And she survived, and she was quite elderly. She lives in America now. Her sister died, she survived as well, her sister, but was always very, very ill. She always had a lot more problems. And it's interesting, the story, because there is a picture that someone, when they were liberating the camps and they brought out the children, she's one of the children in the photograph. And she said something so beautiful. I remember when I heard her, and she said, I forgave him all the injections, all the tortures that we went through. I forgave him because I didn't want to carry him in my heart. And never in my life I wanted to live. I wanted to love. And if I kept thinking, hating him, I would be hating, carry him with me. And I wanted to be free of him. So I decided to forgive him and to send him love. And I thought that was such an incredible lesson for someone who we cannot imagine the suffering. She was only 5-6 years old when she was there. So if someone like that can find in their heart to forgive, because she said, otherwise he'll be with me all the time, and I don't want him with me, you know. And I think that's one of the things, if we are able to let go and forgive, it's so much easier for us, you know. So it's a lesson in forgiveness, because it's for us, it's for our own health, it's for our own peace of mind, it's for our own being, you know, whole, integral to ourselves, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah. No, I agree. And for example, in the chapter 10, item 15, first paragraph, Kardec wrote, "To forgive
oh
one's
yeah,
enemies is to ask for forgiveness for oneself. To forgive one's friends is to give them proof of your friendship. To be able to forgive offenses is to show yourself better than you were."
exactly.
Exactly what you said. Summarize what you just said.
Yes, but I mean that's the thing about this book, isn't it? That
Yeah.
always, because it is, you know, it's so incredible. I remember once watching a film. They made a film out of this book, and this lady's father had been badly tortured during the war, you know, and he was in a prison camp, the Japanese prison camp, and because he had been a priest, well, a vicar, you know, he was a vicar, and they crucified him, you know, they used to play crucifixion, and when he came back, he felt very hurt, not only because of the body hurt that he suffered, but also because they would crucify, and he felt so unworthy to be like Jesus, you know. I mean, they didn't actually kill him, but they would hang him in a cross. And so when he came back, he was never really happy anymore. And the father and her and the brother, you know, for some reason, they discovered who the person who had done it was. He was the boss in this camp, and his son or came to study, you know, in the college where they worked as teachers, and they decided to kill him. But
Wow.
for some reason, there was, you know, they were all the students together for summer course or whatever. And anyway, they did carry it out. They created all this thing, you know, to kill him. But they killed the wrong boy. They killed someone who had nothing to do with it, because the person they wanted to intend to kill didn't come in the end. You know, he didn't go through. He decided to have a good time instead of going to school to study. So they killed an innocent man. And I think this is one of the things about hating people and wanting vengeance, because vengeance never works. You know, in the end, they not only they suffer, but they killed an innocent person, so they had to live with the guilt, you know. And I think it is a very important lesson, that don't waste our time in trying to have vengeance on people, because when someone does something really bad, their own action is already bad to condemn them in their own conscience, which one day they will have to answer to. You know, the world can ignore everybody, but their own conscience will never forget what they've done. And there will be a day of reckoning, isn't it? There is always, your conscience will ask of you what you've done. So this, it's better to forgive and to let things, because everyone is responsible for what they do. And sometimes in trying to vengeance and everything, you ended up hurting someone who was not involved, and you feel really bad. And I think, just thinking about this, in Shakespeare, in Hamlet, when he decided to take vengeance and the person killed his father, he ended up killing an innocent man. And that's when you see vengeance, you go and the situation causes you to commit a crime against someone who's innocent. And so don't leave, forgiveness is for us to heal our soul, to let go, even if we remember, but try not to have the hatred. Like in another part here, I think it's the next chapter 16, when he talks about indulgence, how he how you help yourself by being indulgent, by being tolerant, and not judging others, because, as I said, we will be judged by our own actions. It's not God that will punish us, it's our own conscience who will ask us, what have you done with what I've done? And when we do something like this for vengeance, and we destroy, maybe the life can even go to the point of destroying somebody else's life who was an innocent and had nothing to do, then it will be even harder, and it will not undo what that person did, and they will answer for it. Don't you think?
Yes, I completely agree with you, and we needed to be aware that we always the law of cause the effect is always there.
Exactly,
You
yes.
know,
And it's not always easy. We talk about it as well, don't we, Seven? We read Spiritism, we read the Gospels, we read literature, we study, we meditate, we think about it. But it's not easy. It's not something, so, oh,
no.
yes, okay, they done something horrible to me and I'm going to forgive. No, first of all, we get very hurt sometimes. We get very, very hurt. And then we go, oh, look what they done. But if we are able to have those feelings, honor them, because we're being hurt, and we can honor that. I feel hurt because that person mistreated me, or was unkind, or was unfair to me. It's okay. I think we need to honor those feelings as well, that we are aware. I was hurt, deeply hurt. I Because they were unfair, they mistreated me, they acted in a way that was not honorable towards me, and it's fine. I say, accept that, but I'm not going to keep it with me. He's giving me a gift that I refuse to accept, and take it back, and then try to at least not wish harm on anybody, and not to wish harm on that person, try to let them live their lives, because as we said, the law cause and effect, we will be responsible for actions. And when we return to the spiritual world, they're not going to ask, well, what so and so did to you. They're going to ask, what did you do? And
Yeah, and it's important to emphasize. First of all, I want you to say hi, Lou VM, hi, Rialia, Rom. Thank you for joining us. If you do have a questions, we do have only 5 minutes, but if you do have a question, please pop in your question. And what I want you to say, my dear, it is forgive is not forget. Forget it is remember that bad situation, I would say, but do not have that bad feelings with you. Because most people now is thinking, oh, how you forgive? You never forget what they did to me. Yes, I'm not saying you need to forget. I'm just saying when you revisit this memory, when you revisit that situation, you don't have that hate, that vengeance, that feeling. That's why I'm saying. That's what we are saying here. Don't make mistake between forgiving with forget.
No, yes, we remember. But we don't need it to be destroyed by it, does it? Um, because sometimes as well, we'll never forget. And if we keep the anger, it's not forgiveness. It's just be able to find anything, within us that are able to say, yes, look, that is, I feel really bad for what happened, but I don't think I want to continue with this, try to let go. Because also, I think one point that, as a spiritist, we know that whatever anger, whatever desire for vengeance or hatred, whatever thing continues in once we go to the spiritual world, and sometimes can take many lifetimes, being an
Incarnations and
enemy.
incarnations.
Exactly, wasting a God-given life and becoming enemy, and they do something bad and we do something bad. And also I think that's one of the points, because if we sort of respond in the same way, we are the same as they are.
Mm.
We have no right to complain, because they treated me with this disdain, with the hatred, and I'm doing something nasty to them as well, so I'm like them. I'm no different. And we
Mm-hmm.
need to break the circle, don't we? I mean, it's for us own, is to break that circle of you do something bad and I do something worse to you, and then you do something worse to me tomorrow, and then you go, and I said, no, it will stop here. I'm going to keep this, and I'm not going to proceed. And I think
Yeah.
sometimes as well, when we are able to do that, the person, because I don't know, I don't want to judge anybody, but I don't know, sometimes in certain situations, I feel like some people seem to feed from being angry all the time. They seem to have this anger against the world, the universe, and they like to create, they always creating difficulties, or they seem to be angry, and if you go on as well doing things, like you feed them. And that's, you have to stop feeding other people's anger. If they want, they can go somewhere else, because
Yeah.
I'm not going to nourish your nightmare. Actually, this friend of mine, she always is this very funny expression. I'm not going to play the drums for anybody to dance.
Okay, I like that.
And I think that's it. I'm not going to play the drum so you can dance. I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to take another road. Yes, the road
Yeah.
less traveled.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's it.
Good. 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 Good.
Try to have peace within ourselves.
Yeah. We have to. We have to. Okay. I think we explored a lot um, of this topic.
Yes, I mean, this is
Uh,
a subject that we can talk for days, isn't it, really?
oh, this is
There's so
no
much
English.
to
No.
learn,
Yeah.
so
So
much to
let me
learn.
see if I can show next week. Our topic is for what reason do we suffer? What is the purpose of suffering? That's our topic for next week. Hope you everyone join us. And Lou just put something for us here, Silvia. It's very difficult to forgive
Yes,
and
it's
reconcile. I prayed for some time and asked Jesus for help me. to give me courage. One day I woke up and felt that courage and reconciled. I felt so free. That's it, my dear.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Forgiveness is for you, not for the other.
Yes. And I think Lou said something that is absolutely perfect, and that's the way to forgiveness is prayer. When you
Yeah,
pray for someone who has done something bad, then they will. I don't know if it helps them, but it certainly helps us. Prayer is the most wonderful thing. Pray for them,
it is.
you know.
It is. And see, takes time. Forgiveness, it is a process. It's not just something you say, oh, I will forgive. No, it's take time. And look here is a perfect example. She starts to pray in order to have courage. And one day, we don't know how long, but one day she woke up and she felt that courage. So it means that time she was able to revisit what happened, but didn't have that same hate in her heart.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's all about. It's a
Yeah.
process. It is a process. It is not something like, wow, now okay, I forgive you. No, it is a process.
Yeah.
You
And
need to
it doesn't work like
digest.
that either, does it?
Exactly. You need to digest. You need to sleep on it. You need to pray a lot. You need to meditate a lot. Then the forgiveness come.
Yeah. and
But
and also sometimes when you pray, it releases it, doesn't it?
yes, yes,
It becomes less and less and less, that bad feeling is
yes,
solved sometimes.
yeah, yeah. And remember, when you pray, our spirits don't sleep. Who needs sleep is our physical body. When you pray, when you ask for help, when you ask for guidance, when you ask for support, while you're sleeping, is the time when you receive those good benefits from good spirits who gonna guide you, who gonna instruct you, who gonna give you a ammunition to when you are awake, you have those thoughts, good, let's the good thoughts, and say, wow, wow, I'm ready to forgive. That's why the prayer is so important, because you are calling to you those spirits who will support you and help you throughout all this process. Okay, look. So once again,
Okay.
I want to say thank you to Lou, thank you to Rialia, thank you, Silvia, thank you to the internet who kept me here. It didn't keep kicking me out.
Oh
Uh,
yes, think the internet would work.
thank you to the internet. And I wish you all a wonderful week. And I'll see you next week.
Yes, God willing, and all the best. Everything is going to turn up all right, you see. And
Yeah.
good night, everyone, and good night, Elsa. She had her internet as
She,
well
she had she had
create
the internet
problems.
problems.
Yeah, so I think today, because of the weather, we don't have any snow in London, but it's been raining and it's being very cold. So,
Yeah.
the weather changes things. And so God bless everyone, and I'll see you next week, and you too. Bye,
Okay. Thank
Stevan.
you. Bye
God
bye. Bye
bless.
bye.
Bye. God bless. Bye. Good night, everyone.